voice search marketing, voice-activated assistants, smart speakers. Those are all phrases related to this platform of voice. I'm excited that you are here listening to episode 11. It's in season 2 of Agile Digital Business, and I'm going to be bringing to you a short summary of a couple of videos I have watched recently, one by Gary Vaynerchuk and another by Neil Patel, with their opinions about how important this platform is and some tips for going forward. Thanks for being here. Let's get rolling.
She's an author, instructor, conference speaker, and I write songs and play music with her. Hi, my name's Scott Greason. Let me introduce you to my wife, Vickie Maris, the host of Agile Digital Business Podcast.
I am so glad you are back for episode 11 of Agile Digital Business. My name is Vickie Maris, and I am your host for the show. I have been studying this topic of voice search. That is my focus for season 2. And I tell you, each time I read something new or watch a new video on YouTube or somewhere out on the web or listen to a new podcast about this subject, I have this rush of adrenaline, and I cannot wait to get back to the microphone and to share with you what I've been learning. I have that sense of urgency about this, and I hope that I'm conveying to you that we all need to have this sense of urgency about getting our businesses ready for voice search. I recently was watching a video on the GaryVee channel. If you are not familiar yet with GaryVee or Gary Vaynerchuk, I encourage you to look up his content and consume some of his YouTube videos or some of the content that he puts out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. He's very active in many different social media platforms. Gary is a New York Times bestselling author, speaker. He's an internet personality. He was first known as a wine critic who expanded his family's wine business. He's the chairman of a communications company, VaynerX, and he is CEO of VaynerMedia. He is very fired up about the power of voice search. And some of my enthusiasm for this particular episode is coming from having just recently watched a YouTube video on the GaryVee channel where he was being interviewed by Charles Warner of Innovation and Tech Today. And the two of them had a 20 or so minute conversation on a variety of topics, but towards the end, Charles started asking a couple of questions of Gary about voice and voice search. And he jumped right in with a lot of passion about how important this platform is. You're listening to me right now through an audio podcast. Think of how easy it is for you to do that. You can do it while you're running or driving your vehicle or working around the house or out in the garden. Lots of different things that we do while we're listening to podcasts. We don't have to commit to screen time like we do when we're watching a video. I consume so many hours of audio myself. I love to listen to podcasts while I'm commuting or while I'm working outside. A quote from GaryVee in that particular video, "Voice is the next platform." Gary went on to talk about the fact that the platform is so easy. There's nothing between you, your question, and the answer other than the voice of your smart speaker or your phone or your Apple Watch or whatever it is that's giving you the response. Think of your smart speaker for a moment and how you interact with that device, or if you'd rather keep your mobile device in mind. Maybe it's your smartphone, maybe it's your Apple Watch. If you take the Amazon Echo device and its assistant, Alexa, think of that process. It's a really simple process of just asking Alexa a question. You don't have to take the time to get in front of a screen and type anything in a search. People are doing this all the time when they're ordering things from Amazon or when they're asking their Alexa for recommendations of a restaurant that's in a particular location. She provides information in a pretty slick and simple format. There's just no friction. I've continued to think, how can I get you excited enough about this platform that you make a move today to begin getting your website ready for it if it's not already, and to get your other content in a place that it's easily found by people who are using voice search? That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about the platform of podcasting. It is voice, and I am believing that as business owners and institutions, we ought to be hosting a podcast and making our content available that way. And I'm not suggesting it be the only way that we make our content available, but I sure think it's getting more and more important. A paraphrase of Gary V's opinion about all of this, as he was sharing with Charles in that interview, was, it'll be interesting in about 6 years when this platform is dominating, this platform of voice is dominating, and people are looking back and saying, oh my gosh, I wish we had paid attention to that prediction and had jumped on and started preparing our business and preparing the content that we're creating for the platform of voice. So I don't want you to be left behind in all of that. In the last section of this episode, I'm going to bring to you 4 tips that were shared by Neil Patel in a video that he has out on YouTube. When I looked up Neil on his About page, I found that he is a New York Times bestselling author. Forbes calls him one of top 10 marketers. Entrepreneur magazine says he has created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I have known Neil through listening to his podcast. He does a daily podcast on marketing that is really helpful. Be sure to get your note-taking equipment ready. And if you're driving your vehicle, please do come back and re-listen to the episode when you can take some notes. When we come back from the break, these tips that I'm going to share, I think you'll want to jot some of these things down. Let's take a quick break. Thank you for being here in this episode 11. I really do appreciate your dedication of your time to this subject and also to being here with me on the show. If you would like to check out the show notes for this particular episode, you can find them at my website, VickieMaris.com. You can also find them over at my Libsyn blog, which is located at VickieMaris2.libsyn.com. That's the numeral 2. I really would love to dig into this subject deeper for my own business and be working with you as you are digging into it deeper for your business or your organization. So what I would love for you to do is jump over to my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Vickie Maris. And I'm going to be posting a few questions out there. I already have a poll out there that I would love for you to respond to. And that is where I'm going to post the homework assignment. And I'll give each one of us a few weeks to work on this. I don't want anybody to feel super pressured about it, but yet I do want you to feel that sense of urgency I was talking about a few moments ago at the opening of the show. If you are feeling a sense of overwhelm about this subject of voice search and getting your business ready for the platform, I want you to know you are not alone. When I was at Podcast Movement 2019, a couple weeks ago, and I was in conversations with colleagues about this very subject, and I was picking up that there are many others who are a little overwhelmed by it. As podcasters, you would think that we've got it figured out, and maybe we do have the podcasting platform figured out, which is a great place to be for heading towards this platform of voice. But there are a lot more pieces to the puzzle. As I take a look at my own website, VickieMaris.com, I'm embarrassed to say it needs a lot of work. It needs to be easier to navigate. It needs to load quicker. It needs to have a better graphic design to it, all kinds of things to help me let the world know about the books that I've authored. I now have a book out in Amazon and soon to be Ingram Spark in digital format and paperback format, and I have narrated it for you as an audiobook. And I'm about to publish a second book, a devotional journal. And I know I have more books in me that are to come in the future. And my website just needs to represent all of that better. And I especially want people to be able to find my books when they are searching with their voice. That's been one of my motivators about all of this. And as I've been collecting all of this information and digesting it, I want to share it with you. If you would like to take this subject a little bit further than you have already, and at some point when you are in front of a screen, I encourage you to visit my Patreon account. I'm going to share a homework assignment out there so we can collectively begin taking some steps that would head our businesses in the direction that they need to be going to be better prepared for voice search. That account is patreon.com/Vickie Maris. I thought it would be a great way to wrap up what I've been sharing in this particular episode and also to lead us in to that assignment. So here we go. Here are 4 of the suggestions that Neil makes, things that we can do to prepare our websites for being found in voice search. One of the things that we need to do is to make sure our site is HTTPS compatible. Neil mentions in his video that his team has discovered that over 65% of results in voice searches come from sites that are HTTPS compatible. This next tip holds true no matter what type of search your customer is conducting, but it is build authority within your domain. You want to have an amazing website that's full of useful content. One of the suggestions that Neil made that you can do with your content if you don't feel like you have yet established authority in your domain, and that is you could reach out to others who have linked to your competitors in their content and ask them for a link from your content as well. The third tip that he suggested is that our site loads quickly. 4.6 seconds or faster. If you are not certain about the speed at which your website is loading, there's a tool available where you can check that. It's available through Google, so just go out to the Google search bar and type in page speed and insights, and the link to the developer's tool will pop up, and you'll see a spot where you can put in your URL and see how fast it's loading. It'll show you both for your speed for your mobile device and also the loading speed for a desktop. And the fourth tip is that you should have short answers to the questions that your customers are asking within your content. And I do know that there is debate on the best length of content if we're talking about an article or a blog post. I hear different podcasters and different experts who are on podcasts advising us different ways. But in this particular video that I'm summarizing for you, that's by Neil Patel, he suggested that our content be over 2,200 words. So you don't want a blog post that's just 500 or 600 words. Here is a quote from Neil. The more content you have, the more Google can index you for certain terms. That, in turn, will help increase your traffic. It doesn't seem right to stop with just those 4 tips, so I want to throw in a couple of others here on this episode. So here's your bonus tip number 1. Take a look at your About page. It is one of the most important pages on your website, and that doesn't matter if we're looking at voice search or traditional search engine optimization or other ways that traffic gets driven to your site. You want your About page to represent your brand really well. That is one of the things I have worked on fairly recently in my website. If you want to take a look at it, you are more than welcome. It is at VickieMaris.com/about. And you will see how I have stated some of the questions that my followers might ask about me. I've stated them in the content in the About page, and then I have answered those questions as briefly as possible. For bonus tip number 2, let's talk about the FAQ page. Another thing that you can do along those lines is create an FAQ page or a frequently asked questions page for your website. If you don't have one of those, it's a good idea to add one in this era of voice search. And if you do already have one, go out and take a look at the content in your FAQ page and make sure that you are stating the questions in the ways that your customers ask the questions, and then answer the questions in the way that you would answer the questions if you were at a networking event and somebody was asking you about your business. Neil Patel shared some commentary that rang pretty true to what GaryVee was saying in that other video I had mentioned at the start of this episode. Neil was saying that maybe right now the majority of your search traffic is not coming from voice. But my feeling about all of this is it is not too early to begin preparing. For me, this is a slow process. I'm doing this in my evening hours or on the weekend, and just one page at a time. I pick one page in my website that I want to improve, and I begin working on it. And I'm trying not to let myself get down about the fact that I don't have the whole site optimized yet. I encourage you to keep a positive mindset about all of this, whether you are leading this in your organization or if you are the one who is deep in the code and working on making those adjustments on the back end. Keep a positive mindset about all of it. Thank you so much for being here with me, listening to episode 11 of Agile Digital Business. My name is Vickie Maris. I am really honored that you have spent your time with me. My hope is to bring you a few more of these episodes as we establish a foundation about voice search and voice search marketing and the use of smart speakers and the various other devices that we can interact with our voice. You will most likely see in the future that I settle into an every 2 weeks frequency for the delivery of a new podcast episode. I'll keep you posted on that. I am not yet 100% certain if that will be the frequency, but right now that's where I'm headed. Thank you so much for your interest in being available in the way that your customers and your learners want to find you and your business. Join me as we go on now and teach, inspire, and connect.